Hello folks, welcome to Outdoors with Bud. I'm your host, Bud Fields. You know, I've been trying to come up with some topics, and guys ask me, how soon do you need to get permission to hunt on somebody's property? Well, like right now, it's less than 2 months before the Indiana deer season starts. To be honest with you, you should have had permission by now. You don't want to wait till the last second. And just because you had permission to hunt the property last year doesn't mean that you still got the permission this year. Things happen. I mean, farmers retire, landowners decide to sell out and go to Florida. Unfortunately, many of them will pass away. And if you take it for granted that you've got the permission to hunt on that property, you go up there opening morning and somebody comes back with a shotgun per se, which I hope never happens, and tells you that you're trespassing, you're out of luck. Now, I've been fortunate to hunt private property now for most of my hunting career, over 60 years. It's not as easy as it used to be to get permission. Years ago, I had like 1,700 acres of property down around the Tell City area. I had over 700 acres of property down in Owen County, down around Spencer, Indiana. I had property down around Seymour that I hunted. Up closer to Kokomo here, I hunted in Howard County, Carroll County, Fulton County, Steuben County, all these places. And I had so many places, there was no way possible that I could hunt every one of them, but at least I had access. Now, the modern day hunter has to really struggle. Now, I don't advocate going to these high fence places to hunt. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg to get on there. But sadly, I think, and I hope I don't see it in my lifetime, but I think before long that's going to be the only avenue that you're going to have to hunt, because it's getting so tough anymore. So many big clubs are coming down out of Chicago, out of Indianapolis, and they're infiltrating through central Indiana, and they're leasing property. And for years I hunted all those places and it never cost me a penny. Now, I always volunteered to help the landowner do some chores. If I was fortunate enough to get a deer, I offered to split the venison with them. Most of the time they refused it because, like he said, I live here, I feed these deer, they're going to feed me. Now, I understand that the farmers have to pay taxes on their properties. I understand also that they have to do maintenance on the property to keep it in shape. And really, I don't begrudge at all having to pay to hunt, but I didn't really like it because things change around so much, and I always stay in contact with the property owners all year. I go up like early in the spring. I set my trail cameras out. I always make it a point to contact them via email, or I'll contact them with a phone call and let them know that I'm coming up, just to make sure that I've still got the permission. And one of my buddies we were sitting around the campfire one evening after we got done hunting, and we were talking about the situation with the landowners and everything. And like the one guy said, he said, if there's anything that turns his attitude off towards hunters, is a lot of times the farmer don't get to sleep in of a morning. I mean, usually, like this guy said, if he gets to sleep in beyond 5 o'clock, it's a blessing. He said, but when he's trying to rest and somebody's pounding on his door at 4 o'clock in the morning, wanting to know if he can deer hunt this other guy's property, he said that just turns him off right now, and it's almost an automatic no. If you do get permission, or if you want to talk to somebody about hunting, try to get a hold of the guy, get the man's name, and try to contact him on the telephone to set up a meeting. He might be, in early spring, he might be out planting. Closer to harvest time, he might be getting where he's planning to harvest the crops out of his field. His schedule is going to be very hectic, and he might not have the time to talk to you about deer hunting. If you do get somebody, treat that property as if it's your own, because so many people up there are going in and they're tearing up and rammycacking everything. I had at one place in Spencer, Indiana, that I had never seen a no hunting, no trespassing sign on the property. The old man, he owned 500 acres. 250 acres belonged to his son, which was the adjoining property. I go down there. I'd been there in the spring into the early fall. Within 2 weeks of the deer hunting season, I was talking to him. Everything was dandy. There was a group of guys out of LaPorte went down there and asked to hunt. He told them that his property was already being hunted. Well, he went ahead and started working in his field. When he come back, a lot of his farm implements have been damaged. These guys scattered debris and trash all over his property, busted out some windows, done some damage to his farm implements, his combine, his tractor, and they headed out. Well, when it got daylight, where I parked my truck, I was walking back with my flashlight in the dark, excuse me, and I saw this no hunting, no trespassing sign. I thought something's up, so I went back to my truck and I waited till after it got daylight. I drove over to the old man's farmhouse and I got to talking with him, and he told me, he said, "Bud, I know you had nothing to do with this." He said, "But this is what happened." And he said, "I don't want anybody in there." He said, "Now you're welcome to stay and hunt. If you see anybody in there, you can tell them to leave, or if you don't want to confront them," he said, "you come get me and I will get the sheriff's department," and he said, "we will make them people leave." But it's situations like that that's causing a lot of the issues. Now, if you do gain access or get to set up an appointment to talk to a farmer, especially if you're a stranger to him, I recommend maybe not so much going up there looking like you just come out of the woods deer hunting in full camo. Be dressed very casually, act polite, talk to the man. He won't be interested in how many years you've hunted. He may not be interested in how successful you are. I mean, I wouldn't go up to him and say like, "Golly, I've killed 500 deer." That's going to make him think, "Hey, this guy's a shootist. He's going to shoot anything that moves." Just obtain permission. Find out if he allows hunting on Sunday. A lot of the church people don't allow hunting on Sundays. Well, if you're up there hunting and you go up there Sunday and shooting, well, that can be a step out the door. Also find out if he allows you to shoot does. We got permission to hunt a place up by 12 Mile, a longtime friends of ours. State of Indiana, during the firearms season, you can legally shoot any deer you want, a buck or a doe or a fawn. Some of the places that we hunt, we like to shoot during the bow season. We like to try to shoot a doe and then save our buck tag for the firearm and muzzleloader season, because that's when the rut starts. That's when you're going to see a lot more, or usually see more activity in the woods. But the man showed us around his property. He showed us his boundary lines. He showed us some of the tree stands and ladder stands that they had. And he said, "Nobody back here bow hunts it. You guys are going to have the whole woods to yourself." He said, "If you want to use any of those other stands, you're welcome to do that." Well, personally, I don't like to do that, because I figure whoever set that stand up spent time up there doing his homework, his or her homework, and figuring out the deer, and he knew what he had to do. So he's going to be entitled to using that stand. And if I went up there during the bow season, I'm going to get the chance at deer well before he ever gets a chance to see him in the gun season. And I don't want to go up there and shoot a deer that maybe that guy had been following all year and had been planned on taking. And then I go up there out of the color blue sky and I shoot a nice buck that he was looking for. I don't like that to happen. I like to do my own scouting, set my own stands up, and hunt on my own. But find out where the man would like for you to park. There might be times that you don't want to park in a lane. He might be using that lane to get his implements in and out of the field while he's harvesting his crop. He might be up there while you're trying to run trail cameras in the early spring. He might be trying to get access to the fields, and you might have him blocked with your vehicle. So always make sure to find out where he wants you to park. And if you have to get up around his house, especially before daylight, do it as quietly as you can. And I even tell people I turn my headlights off as I'm going in, because I don't want my lights to shine in through this man's house and maybe wake him up. But It's almost too late in the year, but if you have not got your permission, go out right away and start talking with these people and try to get something lined up, because like I say, you don't want to go up there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on opening day knocking on the door, waking up the man's wife and his dog, because they don't get too friendly about that. It's not unusual to get hold of people 2 or 3 months in advance. That way, if you do want to go up and do some scouting and you do want to put some tree stands up, but make sure you got the landowner's permission to do anything. Well, I hope maybe I've answered some of your questions about how soon do I need to get permission. It's not a bad idea to stay in contact with a property owner all through the year. If you know when his birthday is, or his wife's birthday is, or any of his kids, send them a birthday card, send them a Christmas card, anything like that. Yeah, okay, you got to do a little brown nosing, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to find a good place to hunt, and that is what's helped me gain a lot of access. So I want to thank you for letting me come into your homes this time, and stay tuned for a lot more episodes of Outdoors with Bud. So I'll see you in the woods.